Welcome to the Combot Collective.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Combot Collective, bringing you everything you want to know about the 2021 Battlebots season. It's another prediction episode here, of course. We're talking about Week 6 of the Battlebots season here. We're already now jumped past the halfway point, and we're starting to look really at the nitty-gritty, getting some of the teams round 3 fights, the end of the round 2 fights, and probably the end of some robot seasons. We already heard word that Triple Crown has had to pull out for the rest of the season due to damages and just what their plans were. So some robots already bowing out of the picture. The numbers are starting to dwindle here at BattleBots, but it's a new set of fights this week, and I am being joined here along with my usual two. It's PoryNog and MisterRedman. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good, thank you, Quirt.
I'm just feeling the pain.
I feel the same, man. Triple Crown completely retired. I had him in my league as well.
Yeah, that's rough for a lot of those King of Draft people. I know I'm not surprised I haven't seen more free agent transactions in terms of ditching Triple Crown, but I bet we'll probably end up seeing them within the next week on there. It's a real shame. It seems like, though, they're pretty primed and ready to go for the 2022 season. The way they've been talking in their YouTube video, they seem to have the intentions to bring Triple Crown back. So it is good to hear that, but moving forward here, it's a bit of an interesting Week 6 fight card. I don't think it's the most bombastic of fight cards, kind of starting to settle into the rhythm of the season here. We know which bots to expect as contenders, which bots are kind of in the middle ground, and which bots are kind of falling behind now. What are your guys' thoughts on this fight card? Initial thoughts?
Mixed bag. I think some of these fights feel like they've been placed in there for the free W of the other more well-known machine, and some feel like they're going to actually be quite exciting to look at. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm getting all conspiracy here, but part of me also feels like all of these fights, in a way, aside from the main event, maybe actually even the main event, are actually like predicted or based fights, really.
I don't know. I feel like the opener's pretty even.
I know, yeah, maybe. I feel like that might just be me being overcritical here, but I don't know. I feel like these fights have been set up just so that we can get some 0-1 robots actually gain a win on the board.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, especially with some of the matchups going on here. It's a very interesting midway major. Not a midway major I would have expected, but we'll get to all that and all these other matches here right now. If you're enjoying what we're doing here, you can follow us on our Facebook and on our Instagram, which you can find in the description below. And from there, you can find our Linktree, from there you can find our Discord server. So feel free to join our community from there. And along with that, we are also on Spotify if you want to hear the audio versions of these episodes. Spotify, Audible, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you can find your podcast, really. So sit back and please enjoy the rest of the episode. So opening up our Week 6 fight card here is a very exciting matchup, probably the matchup I'm most excited for this week. This is a battle between two compact powerhouses that we've seen really dominate BattleBots, especially in 2020. Of course, Black Dragon, a robot that finished top 4 last year, a semifinalist in BattleBots 2020. And we have RotatoR, who dominated the Bronco bounty bracket, going 4-0 and really solidifying its place as one of the top horizontal spinners, if not the top horizontal spinner in the field right now. Like I said, both these robots super compact. Both of these robots are not going to die, and this is going to be an absolute slugfest. Both these guys, Team Uriah, Team Revolution, they know what they're doing. They have the spares ready. They have the tactics, and I know from a fact when both of these guys heard about this matchup, it was all about the modularity, the configurations. We know that RotatoR has multiple sets of spinners, multiple sets of wedgelets, and Black Dragon, multiple wedges and multiple sets of wedgelets on their own. And what are you guys' thoughts about this matchup?
I'm very excited for this. This should be a banger of a fight in theory. And this is a hard fight to call because they're both such durable well-driven, good
Absolute
robots
tanks,
with
yeah.
good weapons. Yeah, like it's gonna be very hard. It's probably gonna come down to how long Rotator's weapon lasts in particular, because if let's say both their weapons die, I feel like Black Dragon probably has the edge then with that, because I mean, they look at the Tombstone fight, for example. But I mean, this could really go either way. I'm leaning towards Black Dragon just because I feel they have the more favorable design of the two, but this could go either way. I have no idea.
Yeah, I just with a matchup like this for the horizontal spinner like Rotator, as good of a driver as Victor Soto is, we've seen him doing some impressive spin move tactics like we saw in the Valkyrie fight last year. What a fantastic fight that was. He can do some good stuff with the horizontal spinner. He can play good defense with that as well. But Black Dragon and the Brazilian team Uriah, these guys have always been all aggression, full throttle. Pedal to the metal from the opening minute to the final seconds of the fight. And when you're a vertical spinner, especially against a small robot like Rotator, you're going to have that natural advantage when you go weapon to weapon. You're going to be the one throwing Rotator 4 feet into the air, and it's going to be more about how Black Dragon take Rotator's hits. And Black Dragon has never really shown any struggle in terms of mobility. We've never seen it lose a wheel. We've rarely seen it lose its weapon power. Rotator doesn't seem like the kind of robot to pull off a chain snipe unless it gets like the perfect hit to the side of the Black Dragon weapon. So I think it's going to be a little bit tricky for Rotator. This has to be Black Dragon's win, in my opinion. And I'm not just saying that because they're on the King of Draft team, but though I do hope they do win for that reason. This seems like it's going to be a full-on blow-through for... it'll be a contested match, but it'll be a blow-through for Black Dragon. But I definitely think it's going to be a judge's decision.
Potentially. I think both robots have proven themselves to be fairly durable, and Rotator especially, considering how much of a brick it is to when it comes to the competition. But Black Dragon is by no means a pushover, and we've seen it do well in previous seasons, and it really just come out on its own as a contender, really.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to give it to really Rotator though, but then again, I have a feeling that this matchup might be in the first win for Black Dragon. Really, is it the first win for Black Dragon?
Nah, they
second?
rinsed Icewave in round one. They're both 1-0,
Oh yeah,
I
they
believe,
did.
right now.
They did do that. Yeah, then it could be anyone's game, really. But I've always thought that horizontal spinners have been getting the short end in this season so far. So I'm thinking that Black Dragon probably will have a good shot, but it just depends to see if who's got the control think at the end of it all.
Yeah.
The one question I have, outside of the 2016 fight, has Rotator ever been knocked out?
Yeah, didn't Bite Force knock it out?
Oh, I guess Bite Force, but like besides Bite Force and Witch Doctor, Rotator hasn't been KO'd ever? I don't think.
No, we got knocked out.
Endgame was a split decision.
Yeah, Sawblaze and Blacksmith were both decisions.
Yeah, Beta was just a decision, obviously. And,
But I would put
Valkyrie was too.
And so was Endgame. Yeah, I would definitely put I would put Black Dragon though in that tier of power, or at least a tier
Black
below.
Dragon's never been KO'd ever. I don't think.
I don't think it has. Has it? No, not at all.
I don't think so.
It's just going to be absolutely insane. It really is. These
it's
are just two absolute bricks.
I think in the very least we can agree this is probably going to the judges.
Mm-hmm. This is potentially going to be one of the best fights of the season as well. Yeah, if you love a beautiful 5-star match, this is a match to watch out for. Though, as we now move on to our second fight of the night. Moving on down the fight card here with our second fight, it is an international showdown. The first, one of the very few we've seen in this regular season. I don't know if it's the first. I don't want to be confident about that, but we do have Orbee Blade coming out of South Korea and Lucky coming out of Canada. It is 0-1 versus 0-1, so somebody's fighting to stay in playoff contention here. And first up, we do have Orbee here, of course. The first Battlebots team coming out of South Korea, the King of Bots All-Stars, probably the best team ever to come out of South Korea, out of the small handful we've ever had. These guys have made an absolutely beautiful robot, but a horrible draw facing Scorpius, a robot designed to kill horizontal spinners in round one. Meanwhile, Lucky had a bit of a dramatic fight in its first round against Tantrum. People thought that they had a chance to beat Tantrum. They thought they had to win, but it was clearly shown in the replay that Tantrum was able to get free there. But despite that, Lucky did show some fantastic driving with their brand new driver, a competitive RC driver, a really good call made from Mark Demers, the team captain of Lucky. So both these robots still have a lot of potential here, though. A lot of international acclaim and success in both of these robots as well. What are your guys' thoughts about Orbee Blade versus Lucky here? Sudden death matchup of sorts.
Ooh. I think this should be an interesting fight. I think really it could go either way, as far as I can see. I know that Blade has been particularly deadly, of course, overseas, and it's really yet to come out on its own in this season. But the same really could be said for Lucky. Really, it's yet to show off its potential in this season, and I think that this fight may be the fight that gets either robot on the board in people's eyes. This should be the one that either says, "Oh, Lucky's one to look out for, or "Oh, Blades on the ball. Keep an eye on this rookie." So it should go either way. I want to say Lucky may win this. I'm not too sure about that spin up on Blade. I think when we last saw it fight, and I think that Lucky may get some good tosses and flips in and break Blade. But then again, all Blade has to do is hit one of those wheels, and it's basically got the advantage. So
Yeah, the Lucky is a very modular robot. We know they do have a handful of configurations to cover up those wheels, and the wheels themselves also a bit chunkier this season, so they might have the upgrades to defend against a situation like that, though we do know Lucky, a robot known for its gremlins, of course, known for, ironically, its bad luck, of course. We saw it in the Tantrum fight. We saw it have some issues in the test box. It lost its left side drive in one of its test box videos, which was a bit worrying, even before the season began. But yeah, you're going to need to have that when you're fighting Orbee. And for Orbee, you're going to need that self-ride mechanism to work, because that's really been the cursed thing for them. And they even talked about it in their last fight, that they said that, I mean, luckily they didn't need it, but in that very first strike from Scorpius broke their Shreem mech, And Lucky, it doesn't throw you high like a Bronco or a Hydra would, but they will spike you forward, and that flipper does come with some serious velocity. It's that punching style flipper. And if you land hard, spiraling forward on your top, I do worry about Orbee's self-ride mechanism being able to take the hit. And on top of that, with how slow it lifts, will Orbee really be able to do anything to react before Lucky can get in there and start popping it again, start throwing it around like a hacky sack? Team Orbee doesn't want that. I certainly don't want to see that in them. I'm pulling for Orbee big time, and I want to see them win this fight, but it's going to be really tricky for them. I really want to see Orbee make the playoffs in their first year, but this is going to be the big test right here.
Yeah. I probably have luckiness. I want Blade to win this because it's on my fantasy team and I just really like it. But Lucky looked really good in that Tantrum fight. I mean, yeah, it lost by KO,
super
but
good.
the first 30 seconds or so, it was very clean, well driven. It showed that it could flip and stuff. Blade, unfortunately, they got a very rough matchup. But even then, the driving kind of seemed a little sloppy in that fight. I hope they can prove me wrong in the next fight. I mean, they've had good performances in King of Bots, so it's always possible. Yeah, this is definitely a tough one to predict. It should be a fun fight, and I hope Blade wins, but I'm gonna probably go Lucky on this.
Yeah, it's this Lucky fight recently, the one against Tantrum, reminded me a little bit of the Tantrum and Valkyrie fight that we saw in 2020, where a lot of people were still very skeptic about Tantrum, and it ended up winning the fight because they had the Gremlins at the end of the matchup where their battery ended up going down on them. But during the first half of it, they showed exactly what this robot can be, and they ended up delivering big time on the rest of the season. So hopefully we can see. Well, I'm cheering for Orbee personally, but potentially we can see maybe a similar saga breakout for Lucky here, a big breakout win and a bit of momentum to maybe bring them into their first ever playoff berth, which would be very exciting to see, especially with all the hype they had touted for them back in 2016. when they were originally set to debut. And now moving on to our third fight here. Just before we start rolling here, these guys were burying this fight, so I don't know what to tell you here. It's a bit uneven, but at the same time, this is a 1-0 robot versus an 0-1 robot. Of course, Dragon Slayer 1-0, fighting back-to-back weeks. They said, "I get up back in there." So back in there they go, week after week here. 1-0 with a win over Duck last week. Not the most impressive of wins. Though I am super happy to see the Texas robots succeed. Their weapon was running at full power the whole time, and Chris and Kenny did not know. So what does that tell you? It's not a good sign when your spinner is kind of bouncing off a robot like this is Comedy Central Season 3.0. But it's all good. They're a fantastic team. The team captain was super charismatic. I love his post-match interview. I thought his energy was really fun. And hopefully we will see another Dragon Slayer in future Battlebot seasons. In fact, on their social media, they posted their plans for a future Dragon Slayer for 2022 this year, with a very nice setup, a front grille looking very similar, but with a different knight style, and of course the weapon looking like a horse head. Very cool design, but its opponent.
Come on, yeah, get out with it. You spent at least a good 2 minutes saying so many good things about it.
Okay, and it's fighting Minotaur. It's fighting 0-1 Minotaur. 0-1 Minotaur. This is a 1-0 robot versus 0-1 robot.
0-1 against Sawblaze.
Respectable.
Against Sawblaze. Sawblaze is basically Knight Rider at this point. It's Kit. Sawblaze is a beast, man. And it's basic Minotaur. Putting it against Dragon Slayer, you clearly know what's going on here. They literally just looked at
it's not going to be pretty.
No,
I just don't know who it's not going to be pretty for.
Yeah.
Kidding. No, okay. Look, I love my Texas robots. I love Dragon Slayer. Love the team, but this is probably going to be Minotaur's win. It's not going to. I love. It's robot combat. Robots shit themselves
I love
die.
the design of Dragon Slayer, but the Dragon Slayer's wheels are off of wheelbarrows. We're not going to see much in terms of it being durable, especially against a machine that's known for its durability, which it being Minotaur. And that vertical spinner is not going to break through Minotaur. I think it will scratch its paint, but it won't break it. Minotaur, on the other hand, we're going to hear the death hum. We're going to see this ball charge, and we're going to unfortunately see some very sad Dragon Slayer builders here in this battle. And it's such a shame, but you can clearly see that this fight has just been pushed forward to make Minotaur at least get that 1-1 record, and that's why I said earlier. I think that some of the choices in event and fights in the Battlebots so far have been quite feeding, if you will, towards some of the more powerful competitors, and it feels unfair. There doesn't feel like there's any kind of randomness in a way. It all feels like it's all been put together as a means to get what we want in the what they want in the finals.
Yeah, it comes with that TV show stuff. It is what it be.
Yeah, but I mean, they definitely saw Minotaur is 0-1, and they saw Dragon Slayer's performance against Duck, and they definitely booked this fight thinking this is a free win for Minotaur, because they do that with their popular robots. I've been saying it for all season.
They've done this with Minotaur before. In fact, look at 2018. Look at the robots it was given after Tombstone.
Yeah, if Minotaur's on the ropes, they throw it free wins, and this is definitely an example of it. And outside of Minotaur having some sort of freak malfunction and not working, which is absurdly unlikely, I don't see any way in which Dragon Slayer wins this fight.
Yeah, I do have to agree with you. Minotaur's faster than it. It's stronger than it. The weapon power is just dwarves what Dragon Slayer can do here. It's gonna win every exchange. If I'm Daniel Freitas, I'm saying screw it. After seeing that Duck fight, I'm going weapon to weapon against Dragon Slayer each time, and I'm probably breaking the weapon within 3 hits. If I see a weapon like Dragon Slayer's, I think. From what I know, I don't think they're air tires, but they might be air tires on Dragon Slayer. But I know they're either air or foam tires. Pretty sure that's the case, and it's gonna be pretty nasty when they rip into that thing, and it's gonna be pretty messy. It's gonna look like an old 2019 Ribot fight with how much foam's gonna fly around that arena after this matchup. It's gonna be brutal. for the sake of Dragon Slayer, you know, you have one win. You have it against a fan favorite like Duck. So even with a spirited performance here, they're still looking pretty good, which is a good thing to be in when you're fighting Minotaur around 2. You don't want to be 0-1 getting Minotaur. But there's still a bit of a rut for the Dragon Slayer rookies here.
Yeah, I mean, Dragon Slayer needs to win one of its next 2 fights to be round to 32 100%.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't have the clout to be a 1-2 entry, no.
Yeah. And its performance against Duck wasn't good enough to give it a performance. So yeah, it's probably gonna lose this fight, and then Minotaur will pretty much be a lock because they'll be like, oh, it beat Dragon Slayer. Even Minotaur loses its next fight, who knows who it is? You know, I think this is just like it's like the slapbox tombstone fight of the season. Like here's Minotaur, here's a lower tier bot that you can definitely beat, and then we'll use that as an excuse if you lose fight 3.
Right. Yeah, that's a fair little bit. We just saw them do something similar for Tombstone, even though beating Mammoth, a respectable win, a top 16 robot. But it is what it is. You know, we all wanted to see Dragon Slayer fight a Brazilian robot in Black Dragon just for the mashup name, but they got the wrong Brazilian robot. They're a Dragon Slayer. They're not a Minotaur killer. But who knows? They might be. Fingers crossed. We'll see. We pray for the Dragon Slayer team. We love them here at TCC. As we now move on to our next robot. Now moving forward here, it's our 4th fight, and that's, of course, our Midway Major. Now, we've had some really exciting Midway Majors this year. We've had Tombstone versus Mammoth. We've had Combot versus Fusion. We've had, of course, Captain Shredderator versus Tombstone. But this is a very fascinating one. Of course, we have Yeti here, which, of course, the Battlebots legend of Battlebots All-Star since 2016. He makes sense here, even with the 0-1 outing, but his opponent here, a bit interesting. It's Pain Train, appearing in a Midway Major, also at 0-1 after the trouncing it had against Deep Six. A couple of 0-1s, in fact, against robots that really took a bad beating in their last fight. Someone's going to bounce back here, and someone's really going to be in a bad hole in terms of playoff contention. Though it is a battle of drum spinners, blue drum spinners, in fact. What are our thoughts on this Midway Major here?
Well, I just want to say
that
Pain Train's gonna win this fight.
Oh,
they're gonna make a
goodness
comeback.
me.
They're still a dark horse in contention for the season.
No.
Pain Train's making that comeback. They're gonna take out Yeti. They're gonna pull off the upset, and I'm gonna be eating good on Thursday night.
No,
Listen, I need this win.
If it's like performance against Deep Six was anything to go by, it's not winning any fight at all. It has the
Yeti if he fought Deep Six.
Deep Six was more maneuverable in that fight than Pain Train, and I think that says a lot about it. I don't know if it's because it's first fight Gremlins or anything.
Yeah, it's first fight Gremlins. I'll bounce back.
If Pain Train just does not scream anything new or interesting or like groundbreaking to me at all, it's not done anything noteworthy yet. Maybe I just need to be won over by like Captain Shredderator, you know. Maybe I've already lost faith.
I was right about Captain Shredderator.
Yeah, but against Yeti, it's like, even though that Yeti's spinner has got about as much reach as a baby, it's not really going to do anything against Yeti, I think. It's not really got, I think, the weapon that's designed to tear into Yeti. I know Mad Catter is, I think, a lot more of a precise cutting machine, but I think a drum against the drum spinner of Yeti, I don't think it'll go well. And Yeti's forks will especially, I think, come into play in this match and just absolutely manhandling Pain Train.
No, that's not how it'll happen. Pain Train's gonna... Okay, this is the fight. Pain Train comes out of the square. They like tango a little
ram into a wall.
Then Pain Train takes a wheel off, and
then they drive backwards into another wall.
No,
they try and angle up. They drive forwards. They drive into another wall. They spin around for a few times. Drive into the weapon of Yeti. Flip out 5 do like 720 in the air. Land on the ground. Not driving anymore.
Redman.
Pory.
Redman. I need this win. I need it. Like, I need this win.
Why? What money? Who do you owe money to?
I don't owe any money to anyone. I need this win
You're certainly sounding desperate.
Because at the beginning of the season, I said Pain Train's gonna be a dark horse, and everyone's been making fun of me. You, QWERTY, Civilian Arc, Green, Captain
With
Man.
good reason.
You've all been making fun of me for it.
With good
and
reason.
If Pain
There's
Train
a lot of
pulls off
reasons to
this
make fun
upset,
of you.
no, if Pain Train pulls this off, then y'all can't ever make fun of me again, and it's gonna be great.
What?
It's gonna be
Who said
glorious.
that?
I said
I'll make
that,
fun of
'cause
you
that's
until they
like-
give Robot an actual opponent, but I digress.
Yeah, okay. Call me
there's
when Sub-Zero wins a fight.
Oh,
What?
If you like Pain, if,
They
if
won
you
the
like,
bounty!
Whoa. If you like Pain Train so much, have it fight Ribbot. Then make a decision, huh?
Well,
You
no,
love it so
Ribbot
much.
would win. Ribbot would win now with
No,
these.
no, no.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
saying
It
you're
would be
saying
horrible.
Pain Train could beat
Ribbot's hardest
Yeti.
opponent in the season was Pain Train.
Yeah.
Listen,
you're saying,
listen,
you're
Pain
saying
Train
Pain
is-
Train could beat Yeti. He could beat Ribbot.
Listen, Pain Train
Oh,
is
this is
Pain
going
Train
insane.
is a neat robot. They have a shot. They have a legitimate shot at winning this fight. And
Provided they
thing,
can
here's the
actually,
thing,
they actually
here's the
know what
thing.
North is.
here's the thing: if it's a midway, it's the midway major. If it was just Yeti like killing Pain Train in 2 hits, it wouldn't be the midway major. No shot, 0 shot. In the very least, if I am wrong, which I'm not, it's at least going to be a longer fight, and it's at least going to have some substance to it. It's not going to be just like
Look.
they don't, when they do a midway major, they do at least a decent fight there. You know, like,
Look, I'll say this. I think Pain Train has the chance in the fact that not that it can be as good as Yeti, but the fact that Yeti might
Maybe
struggle as
better.
much, or the fact that Yeti might struggle as much as it. Because right now we haven't seen that much out of Yeti. To be completely honest, with this new low ground clearance, very compact version, we know it has a bit of bite, but I feel like the new forks are a bit over-engineered. I feel like that's just
I
more
think
stuff to
it's,
get stuck and jam up.
No,
And
I think the forks are fine, really. I think it's just the bite of Yeti has been significantly downgraded.
Yeah.
In terms of its design.
it just doesn't feel like Yeti, not to me really. I know it's the cool robot,
yet.
the C2 robotic style,
Yeah.
and it's sleek. It looks great. I love how the forks fold in and
does.
out. And
Yeah.
I know that they have the aggression set up, and we might see the aggression set up. We might see the 2 front plows. In fact, that wouldn't surprise
this
me.
is gonna be Yeti's match. This is gonna be Yeti's match. This is gonna be them. Like I think like this is they just fed Pain Train to Yeti just so he can actually get a win on the board.
yeah, and then
I
it's
can
gonna,
see Pain. I
it's
can see
gonna blow
Yeti
up in
under
their
delivering
face.
and maybe blowing it, but I don't think Pain Train can
Yeah,
get a knockout.
thanks.
I'd love to be
Not
wrong
against Pain Train.
because we were talking
Not
so much
against
about how good
Train.
Pain Train could be during the breakdowns before the season, but I'm still have to go for Yeti for this. I feel like it's a safe money bet. I don't think it's going to be as much of a stomp as we're going to look at with Dragon Slayer and Minotaur, but it's a similar scenario. You know, it's definitely a similar scenario.
Listen, you gotta believe in me. You gotta start trusting me on this.
And the only robot I believe in is Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
And Orbee. I like Orbee.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's our halfway point here with our fight predictions. Now let's move on to fight number 5. Now moving on to our 5th fight here. It is a battle between Sky and Sea as we have the colorful owl of Hijinks, our small-wheeled, big-bladed undercutter. Very unique design, taking on another unique design. The only crusher in the field, Kraken, coming out of Florida, coming out of the deep sea with its 100,000-pound crushing force. At least that's what the team says. 2 robots that are 0-1 after having matches where they lost the wheel. Of course, Kraken did go the judge's decision, did go the distance, had his wheel obliterated by a rotator, also had Wally the Narwhal obliterated by rotator, also had their flamethrower system obliterated by rotator. There wasn't much Kraken left after that fight, and they're down a frame from what I have heard for the rest of the season. Meanwhile, Hijinks having their own gremlins in round 1. They lost a wheel during their mammoth fight, and it wasn't even because of any damage. It was because of an oversight in design where they didn't have a bolt, from my understanding. So they're in their own bad spot because of something silly. Both these robots 0-1. It's a battle for contention, battle for sudden death here. What's our thought here as we have our California versus Florida matchup?
Okay, so there's a few variables that there's a few question marks, I guess you could say. One is, has Hijinks fixed the oversight? I presume the answer is
I
probably
hope so,
yes.
yeah.
Like I would assume that they screwed on the wheels properly and made sure that is Hijinks' weapon working good? And then another variable that needs to be considered is Kraken does not have the horizontal frame anymore. It has two frames. It has a frame for regular fights and it has a frame for horizontal fights where like there's slopes on the sides of the wedge, so that like if a horizontal hits it, it just like bounces up. And
Yeah.
fortunately, RotatoR destroyed that frame because RotatoR is a freaking monster, and
Seriously.
that could play a role in the fight. Now, this fight could really go either way. I feel this is a fairly even matchup because they're both like top 32 bots that are a little lower on the food chain of the top 32. But last season, Hijinks had a very rough start when it fought Claw Viper, but they bounced back and they got 2 wins after that. And I'm thinking Hijinks in this one, but I'm not 100% sure about it.
Yeah, no, I have to disagree. I think this is going to be a Kraken's fight. I think this is really going to come down to driving and weapon speed. We know Hijinks doesn't have the best spin up time with that weapon, of course, with being such a lumbering, wide weapon, with the size of it and how it's set up. When it does get going, it's pretty deadly, but when it's as it is right now, at the start of a fight, I don't think it's going to be able to pick it up because I think Kraken's going to box rush, and I think Kraken's not going to let up or even let go of Hijinks for probably a majority of the fight here. This is Matt Spurk is a fantastic driver. We've seen him do some great things against bots like Blacksmith, against bots like RotatoR too. Even when they were getting absolutely ripped apart, they had their prime moments in the fight in terms of in terms of survivability and in terms of that first minute before the unstick. That was Kraken's fight. They had RotatoR in such a gulch that they literally had to unstick him. So I'm buying the new 100,000 pounds of crushing force thing that they got going on. It's just that RotatoR, one of the most compact bots in the field. There's only so much you can bite into there. But with Hijinks, I feel like there's a lot to bite into once you get around that blade setup. And I think that's going to be big time food for Kraken here.
Yeah, Kraken has, I think, yet to have its proper win in the season. I think it did really well against RotatoR, and it's a shame it lost against Melissa. I think it lost gracefully, despite it being ripped apart. But I think if it just hadn't managed to hold on for the rest of the fight, then it probably could have won against RotatoR. RotatoR is a good machine, but against Hijinks, I don't think Hijinks really has the power or potential to match up against Kraken. Even with Kraken losing its horizontal setup, I think all it really has to do is just get in there quickly for the slow spin up of Hijinks, if Hijinks still has a slow spin up at that point, it's not got any gremlins, and just crush into it. I think now will probably be the time for it to now, in this match, to finally show off its 100,000 tons of crushability, 1,000 pounds of crush, squeezability factor in this.
This is
fight.
a good bot to do it on. There's a lot of surface area there.
So, I don't feel like Hijinks is that durable of a machine to really take the crush. So we might actually get to see some proper penetration in this fight. It just depends to see how it goes. But I do not see Hijinks winning against Kraken really in this match.
Yeah, it's just with how RotatoR's built, such a small robot, so compact. Kraken, Hijinks is so wide and more open than RotatoR. There's like I said, there's just more to bite into there. More armor distributed around the robot, heavier weapon. The wheels probably not as heavy, but those wheels also are a bit of a concern, especially with the gremlins they've had last round. Hopefully they avoid that this time. This is just Kraken's win for me.
I mean, it could, because there's a confidence pool that I do every week in the Battlebots Facebook group. I'm thinking this is probably my second least confident vote, but I am going Hijinks for sure. Plus, I need this win. I do. I don't need this. I don't need it as much as Pain Train. Pain Train, I really need that win, and they're gonna give it to me. But I need the Hijinks win because I need to show Civilian Arc what's up. I gotta. I need it.
Right. Well, we'll see. It's definitely going to be an interesting one. We're going to see one robot completely knocked out of playoff contention here, most likely. Last bot standing. What can you say as we now move on to our 6th fight of the night? And now moving to our sixth fight here. It's a very interesting one here. Two brand new robots in terms of 2021. One veteran team, one rookie team. But two robots that, despite their opposite records, of course, Defender 0-1, Riptide 1-0, robots that we have not seen much at all in terms of actual combat just because of the sample size that they had in their round one fight. Of course, Riptide literally drove forward twice, actually, wink, wink, and hit huge both times. Once happening to be a false start, and the other one happening to be a KO. So that's all we've seen of Riptide. And for Defender, they kind of got in front of Ribot for a minute there, tried clamping him, and then it was all just downhill from there. Of course, we know Jason Vasquez is a respectable driver in his own right, but we just haven't seen it really so far yet out of Defender. But this might be more of a proper chance for both teams to do some real driving skill here, show off what they can do, and show off what their weapons can do in a more of a proper fight setting. This is going to be really interesting, especially being just such a pure damage and pure control matchup. I think we're going to see the upper deck get involved a little bit here from one of these teams. Of course, Riptide has the forky arms, Defender with the full body lifter. What are your guys' thoughts about this matchup?
I think a lot of people are going to be saying that Riptide is going to be the winner, but once more, as I've said before, I'm holding out for Defender. I'm holding out for the control bot. It's just, I think when it comes to Defender with its concept, the full body lifter still needs to be proven in the win. I still feel like when it comes to full body lifter concept, if it needs to be good, or if it needs to have any kind of like success in its fights, it needs to be lower than the wedges that it fights against. It needs to have that ability to get underneath machines, because if it doesn't have the ability to do that, then it's not going to win. I mean, against Ribot was clearly like even with it or lower than Defender, and Defender just had no chance to utilize his weapon at all in the match and just got absolutely pushed and outdone, really. It was like when Witch Doctor fought against Duck, and Witch Doctor did Duck better than Duck did its own gimmick.
Right,
So,
yeah.
I think really Riptide doesn't have any wedges at all. It entirely relies on its spinner to do any kind of getting underneath and tossing robots over. So I think Defender has a good chance to get around those flat sides and get underneath it. But if it's just a matter of if it gets underneath, and if it does manage to get underneath and not get absolutely ripped apart by Riptide, then I can certainly see it having win. But this is a damage competition. This is also a new concept. I'm not too sure. But we can only hope, can't we? We can only hope.
This is a hard fight to judge because of what you mentioned, how we haven't really gotten to see either of these spots really. Like, I've Riptide we've seen 20 seconds of Riptide time in the box, and it was just like them slamming into Huge and Huge getting stuck in the wall. Like, we haven't really seen their driving style, how reliable the robot is, how reliable the weapon is. Yeah. There's a lot of ifs there. Meanwhile, we haven't really gotten to see Defender either, because Defender got torn apart by the 2021 champion Ribot. So, it's just there's a lot that these teams have. This is gonna make or break both teams for sure, and I think that there's a lot to be proven on both sides of this. That said, I'm just based on a little bit that we know, I'm leaning towards Riptide, but I do want to see Defender prove me wrong, because I really like the design.
Oh, I have to go with Defender here personally. You made a little post beforehand in our TCC group chat showing up the new Defender configuration they're going to be using for this fight, with that hefty chunk of metal they have using as a straight slant wedge at the bottom of Defender there. Of course, that doesn't promise anything, but that looks pretty chunky. It definitely looks like that's more designed to take an impact than the framing that they had on Defender prior. And this is a smaller robot, Riptide. Ribot, not it kind of in that middle ground. It's not a big robot, not wide like Endgame, but it's also not compact like Black Dragon. Bit of an average sized bot. Riptide definitely more on the compact side. And I think this is going to be a robot that's going to soup right into Defender's grasp a bit more. Riptide also has smaller wheels, which might be a bigger issue if Defender gets its grasp on Riptide. I feel like there's a lot of factors here that are going to play, and I think Jason Vasquez is just going to prove to be the better veteran driver. I mean, of course, we know Ethan Kurtz has rival and other robots in the Norwalk Havoc League and has proved him to be a respectable driver there. But he has always been a bit of a middling field driver. He's had a few runs at those events, but nothing too spectacular, nothing too huge of a deal. I think he has placed a couple of times, but outside of that, compared to the Vasquez family, it's hard to keep up with those people. Now moving on to our YouTube exclusive fight here. It's a very interesting one here as we have Deep Six. We have not seen since the very first episode of Battlebots this season when they laid out Pain Train taking on a robot who might be the very last robot to have the round one fight. A very late arrival here. All the way in episode 6 comes Sami, of course, the 12-foot wide robot coming from New York. It's exactly what we saw last year. It's the two undercutters on the sides of the wide body, wraparound setup. But this is going to be very interesting for Smee, taking on such a high caliber spinner, and it's going to be interesting for Deep Six to see how this wonky design of Deep Six takes its impact like this, because I just don't know what to expect. I mean, it's a YouTube exclusive, and I've heard from people who attended this fight that there's a reason why it was YouTube exclusive, but I just don't know how to wrap my head, or I don't know where this fight starts. I don't know where this fight ends. What are your guys' thoughts on Deep Six versus Sami here?
It's a weird fight.
It
Weird
is.
battle. You don't. I think looking at it, it can really go either way, but I want to say that because it's a YouTube fight, so there are really only one of two conclusions. Either the fight goes the full distance and is boring,
Yeah.
or it ends in like the first minute and it was boring.
Yeah.
That's how I think it goes. And to me, while I do feel like not Pain Train, that's the wrong machine. Deep Six, Pain Train online. Deep Six is a fantastic machine, and I think it's got one of the most deadliest weapons in the sport. Period. It's not very maneuverable, and Smee is the complete opposite. It's entirely maneuverable, and it's designed really to wedge underneath the opponent, control them, and take them anywhere. Its undercutters, they do some damage, but they haven't really done, I don't think, anything amazingly noteworthy in terms of damage so far. At least as far as I can remember. I think it might have did something a bit more in P1. I think it actually tore some wheels a bit. I think it did.
I think it did
remember.
something to Pain Train, didn't it? That was a very underwhelming fight, but I think they did something like
Yeah.
Pain Train. Pain Train keeps coming up, man.
Yeah, no, the Pain Train Ghost, man. I've been affected by Pory, but Pain Train on the mind, it's living in my head rent free. But yeah, I'm saying, I think Smee really is just a machine that's I have a feeling that it's either going to be Smee completely controls and dominates the entire fight. Not Pain. Deep Six can't recover, and is just pushed around a lot, and it ends with just or the win on Smee, or Deep Six just manages to get that one wonder hit in, slaps Smee across the box, and Smee stops moving, and that's about it. Either way, that's what I'm seeing so far. I don't really see any kind of exciting victory in this, because it's a YouTube. When they say it's YouTube exclusive, they're basically saying just line your bed early in the morning and watch this.
It's like the science fights. Yeah.
It's not going to be anything exciting.
Yeah, I mean that's totally fair, and I agree. Yeah, I feel like the fight's gonna go one of two ways: either Smee wins it, or Deep Six gets one juicy hit, and that's it. I don't really see it being anywhere in between that, really. It's not gonna be I don't think it's gonna be a super destructive hit either. I think if Deep Six wins, it's gonna be one hit, and then Smee's just done, and that's it. But we'll see. I probably have Deep Six on this, but I really don't know.
Yeah, I have to go Deep Six as well, but just like what you're saying, it's just hard to predict this. You don't know how it's going to go, how it's going to start, how it's going to end, what the catch points for each robot is really going to be. I know that when Deep Six was talking on Behind the Bots on that podcast a couple years ago in 2020, when they were talking about this new design for the first time, one of the robots they said they really wanted to fight after saying the season last time was me, big time. That was like their dream match for the season. So they got it. Who knows how it's going to end up playing out, but it's going to be fascinating. I have to go Deep Six here personally, but now it's time to move on to our interesting battle of two big-time vertical spinners here in our main event. Now moving on to our main event here. This is something I'm really excited to see. Even when there's matches like Ghost Raptor versus Chomp, I always get excited when we get to see two of the 2015 OGs. Such a unique class, those 24 robots. It's always exciting to see two of the 2015 originals meet up for the first time here. And that's what we now have with Donald Hudson's LockJaw and Will Bell's HyperShock. Two green robots meeting from the southern U.S. here. Of course, Donald Hudson coming from California. Will Bell's coming from Miami, Florida. Super exciting matchup here. And it's two very similar designs, two very similar styles, but different philosophies coming with it. Old school and new school, four-wheel drive vertical spinners matching up here in LockJaw versus HyperShock. And both, actually not both, HyperShock 1-0 right now, I believe. And 1-0 with a knockout win over Slammo. And of course, LockJaw split decision, probably the most successful loser of round one. Still a loss though against Copperhead in the main event of episode 3. This is going to be a very fascinating fight though. And it's going to be some heavy hits from the pictures we've seen so far. What are our thoughts on this matchup?
HyperShock isn't green.
It's like yellowish green. I feel like that color's like one of those debatable. It's like it could go either way.
I want to say it's more like the kind of color you'd find on those like hazard vests. Really, it's like
it's like reflector yellow, highlighter yellow, or green.
Yellow.
It's green or yellow. Okay.
Come on, man.
Look, it's this color, and this is easily passable.
Yeah,
Whiplash stole HyperShock's color, by the way.
Green or yellow?
Who's
gonna win? What color's the best? That's the real question.
This is it. This is the color right there.
Yeah,
but,
it's yellow.
Yeah,
it's green. I digress.
It's not green.
Look,
it's
LockJaw
yellow.
versus Jesus, I said Whiplash almost. LockJaw versus HyperShock. This episode's unhinged. This episode's gonna be absolutely unhinged.
It is an unhinged.
It's gonna be a hit. Trust me.
I hope
it's gonna be good.
It's going to be a hit like what Pain Train's going to do against Yeti, I guess.
Oh,
is what
Pain Train. Listen, Pain Train's still making a
LockJaw versus HyperShock is the main event of Season 6, Week 6 of the 2021 Battlebots.
Yeah, it says it's the main event, but clearly what's more important is Yeti versus Pain Train. That's what we're all here for. Midway Major.
You're killing me, Small.
Okay, so HyperShock, the yellow robot, is looking very good in it. It's like their performance against Slammo was clean for the most part, but their spinner definitely was having some issues.
But not the issues LockJaws were having, to be fair.
No, LockJaw was having issues too, but also LockJaw was facing
Copperhead. That's a good point.
Copperhead as opposed to Slammo, So this is almost a fairly even match because I mean they're both members of the 6-year club. There's only 5 robots that are still in the 6-year.
Shred Raider, Tombstone, Witch Doctor. I feel like there's one more.
Yeah.
Nope, I think that's it.
I think that
really
both of these machines are fantastic. They've been here for a long time, and both of them really come out in their own ways. Both of them, of course, LockJaw embracing the vert meta, but has also come out in its own way to still have that controlling aspect to its design.
Right,
we've seen it with its back plow, the forks. It's still got that dissector element to it, instead of it being just a complete vert. And we've got HyperShock, who that is just entirely embraced their RC car design.
It's so sleek, so lengthy. It looks like an F1 car. It looks futuristic.
It's so fast. It's one of the fastest machines out there. Right, I think it rivals. I think I'd love to see it against P1. And that would be a fantastic battle to see between two of the fastest robots. That would be a
shame
fantastic.
we didn't get that in the bounties last year. Oh,
yeah. maybe we can hope. We can hope to pray. I mean, these HyperShock still got a fight, so we can hope to see if it fights P1 later on. But
Right.
I think that both of these robots are going to be fairly even, and ideally, I think HyperShock really can win this if it keeps up that aggression, that momentum, keeps that pace, keeps it going, and make sure that spinner is moving. It needs to keep moving, because I think otherwise LockJaw will just utilize maybe it's some controlling element or its entire design to kind of hold and like HyperShock in place and just manhandle it a bit. I don't think I think HyperShock just needs to keep that aggression going. I think HyperShock has at least got the pushing power to push LockJaw around, but LockJaw will not be any kind of pusher whatsoever.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is the third or fourth Vert versus Vert match main event we've had so far as well.
Yeah.
I
That's how the meta be.
yeah, that is how it has made the best Vert win, I suppose.
Right. I feel like, I mean, last week's main event was a bit of a contrast. You have the square style, no wedgelets of Witch Doctor, and then you have the wide style, all wedgelets of Endgame. This really does feel like a dead heap and pretty much, two bouncy style designed to kind of go over you if needed, go around you, be quick and nimble if needed. Robots like LockJaw and HyperShock, but I think it's going to come down to his durability, and I feel like even though LockJaw might smoke, usually that smoke doesn't end up killing LockJaw. And I think it's probably the more durable, the more robust of the two robots. You have those big RC car style wheels of HyperShock and all these panels and stuff on HyperShock. A lot of nice, fun details, but stuff that can get ripped off, stuff that can really expose the body of HyperShock a lot more easily than I think LockJaw. I think that's going to be the tangible that's going to decide the match. I think this is going to go past the 2 minutes. It might even be a judge's decision, but it's probably going to be full of firepower. This episode's really opening up with a banger, and it's closing with a banger potentially. I'm very excited for this matchup, but I got to go LockJaw, saving their season here. Both robots going 1-1.
And I'm probably gonna go HyperShock in this, but I really don't know. That's what I appreciate about this episode. There's definitely a lot of robots that are
A lot of mystery.
It's a lot of closer. Like last week, a lot of the fights were so easy to call, and the only one I got wrong was the one I went really bold on. But this week it's a lot of the fights I'm just I have no clue. But I feel like this is probably going to be a very close fight. But I'm leaning towards HyperShock, but LockJaw could definitely pull it off.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I wanna go for LockJaw. I love the dissector team. And I love LockJaw as a concept. I love their whole jaw thing before. Hopefully it returns to some. Yeah, I just hope that they return back to that jaw lineage at some point as well. Maybe if when Battlebots finally decides to give up this damage bias. But
I would like to see robots get a second robot. I feel like they deserve that.
We can get I don't know, them actually pulling out a proper dissector clone or something like that.
I want to see
something or
an upgraded 500-pound Gear Crow. That's what I want to see.
Or maybe they could do a Tazbot design.
The Tazbot would be good too. I would love to see the swinging bat kind of style hammer again.
It'd have a vert on it, obviously, but yeah,
that would also be awesome. Having a hammer saw that can be swung any direction like a turret.
Chomp
so
style.
Cool. Anyway, it's just gonna be a fun matchup. It's a bit of the meta matchup, but what are you gonna do? Vertical spinner versus vertical spinner. Only one winner. Two veteran teams here. New school versus old school. As we start wrapping it up here at the Combot Collective. And that wrapped things up for our Battlebots Week 6 2021 predictions here. Very fascinating fight card. Not the most loaded fight card in my opinion, like we discussed in the episode just now. Of course, a few one-sided matches. We're looking at stuff like Dragon Slayer versus Minotaur and the Yeti versus Pain Train fight, which, like I said, a little bit interesting. If Yeti underperforms here again, we might see an upset happening right here. But it's going to be very interesting to see what ends up going down. And from all reports, from what we've heard from the fans that attended at the event, and just what we see on paper, the main event and the opener of this show are going to be really good. So there's a lot to look forward here as we jump into another week of BattleBots here. But that's going to wrap things up here for us at the TCC. As always, you can find me, Sterling Brown, on Instagram at SterlingTXTG, and you can find me in future projects this year. Stay tuned for that. You can find PoryNog at his YouTube channel, www.porynog.xyz, and you can find MisterRedman on his website, www.joshuagunnett.com, and you can find his YouTube page of the same name. We're going to start rolling on out here. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Join our Discord channel. Listen to the podcast version of these shows on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, and wherever you find your podcasts. The outro music playing right now is done by our team member, Sevlin. And as always, have a great one. This has been the Combot Collective.
This was the Combot Collective. Find us on Instagram and Discord.